1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 5 potato, 6 potato, 7 potato, or. Boom. Hello guys and gals, and welcome. So today I've got a rather important video for you. Duping has been confirmed in Diablo 2 Resurrected recently. I am not, obviously, going to disclose the method at which they are using to dupe items. This video is not for that. This video is to warn you, the community, that duping exists. Now, what does duping mean for you? What does it mean when you create not one, but two items? What does it mean when you create not one, but two gingers? That's right, two sets of gingers. What does it mean when you create more than one item? Well, back in Diablo 1, it didn't really have much of a purpose. When you duped an item, well, no, that was pretty much it. And then eventually they came out with the ability to detect the fact that you were duplicating items, and they would delete the duplicates. In Diablo 2, very similarly, you could duplicate items all you wanted, and they really didn't have any way to stop it. So they started adding something called a unique item identifier. The unique item identifier would check and see whether the item, well, already existed. Let's say, for instance, my unique item identifier was the number 16. And the system was to go and, hey, like, look, there are two items. Let's check and see what their unique item identifiers are. Oh, well, that one's number 16, and that one is also number 16. Oh, no. What do we do? Well, the system deletes both gingers. Gone. And this means that, unfortunately, you no longer have the item. And the original person who has the item no longer has the item either. In fact, nobody gets to keep the item because the unique item identifier system is designed to specifically eradicate the duplicates from the system. Because back in the day, well, they used to duplicate items like absolutely crazy, and it literally ruined the economy. If you played Diablo 2 back in the day and you know or remember the Soges as currency, the stone rings of Jordan as currency. The reason why they were currency was because they were duped. They were duped to all hell and get back. Like literally to the point where there were literally just millions of them within the economy. And they even had to create the Uber Diablo to basically kind of like goad people into selling these Soges to the NPC to spawn Uber Diablo, because this was a way for them to get rid of the dupes. And I myself had several of my items disappear over the years, including a 1.08 Arcane's Valor, which I literally traded everything I had for. And when I logged in the next day, my character was naked. The armor was gone. And, well, boo-hoo for me, I guess. I lost everything that I traded for it, and I also lost the armor as well, which was quite sad. Isn't that sad, Mr. Nimoy? He doesn't care. Now, you might be asking how we know the poofs are happening, how we know the dupes are occurring. Well, we actually have some proof in the form of a video that basically shows that the dupes are occurring. And I'd like to bring that up real quick and show you. So here we have a video. This is of a Hammerdin, and you can clearly see he's wearing his armor. If you zoom in, you can see the fact that he's wearing his armor in this video. As the video progresses, they're obviously doing the bail runs. They skip bail because that's a common method to skip bail, because he's not really good until you get to the higher levels. He's waiting to join his game, and you can clearly see that he's wearing the armor in the picture. So if I go back, you can clearly see that he has the armor on here. This is his Archon plate. That is definitely an Archon plate. So he's got the leather boots, and he's got the tabard with the shoulder guards. That's an Archon plate. When he loads into the game, however, lo and behold, his character is naked. He still has his helmet, he still has his armor, his shield, and he still has his weapon, but his armor is gone. He has the naked paladin look. He immediately, obviously, knows that something is wrong. He checks his inventory, and his armor is gone. This is how poofs work. You will just log into the game, and just like that, whatever item it is that was duplicated will be gone. Now, assuming that because this is an armor and because it was an Archon plate, I would have to assume that it was a rune word. And I would also have to assume that it was probably an Enigma, maybe a Principle, something with plus to skills. It could be a Chains of Honor, could be a couple different things. I'm not sure exactly what he had in that Archon plate, but Archon plates are rather common for rune words. It could be any number of items. And since he's a Hammerden, I'm going to go ahead and assume it's an Enigma. So basically what happened here is somebody duplicated the rune word armor. Probably a rune word armor, I'm guessing at this point. But I can't imagine that they would duplicate regular items. It just doesn't seem worth their time. And that's something that you have to think about, is that it's not always going to be items that are, you know, like low value. It's going to be items that are high value. They're not going to waste their time duplicating like a pair of gloves or a Nosferatu's coil belt or a Ravenfrost. It's beneath them. It's not worth their time. The people who duplicate items that are worth money. The higher the value, the better. They're going to be duplicating things like +2 sorceress amulets that have all resistances and 20% faster cast. They're going to be duplicating items like a perfect crown of ages. They're going to be duplicating items like a +1 to cold skills sorceress charm with 45 life. They're going to be duplicating 5+5 all resistances, small charms with 7% MF and things like that. High value items that they can have a quick turnover for. And these items will, you know, trade off fast. Like if I make a game right now and I were to go, I've got a, you know, +2 sorceress amulet with 22 all res, 20% faster cast, and 22 strength, and like 40 life and 50 mana. And I offer like to trade it off for just like a burr rune. Like one burr rune for an amulet like that is insane. Like those amulets fetch many multitudes of burr runes, especially when they have multiple good stats. But it's a too good to be true trade, which means you go in and what do? You take it up, right? You just go ahead and you grab it. A lot of the times when it comes to duplicate items, they will be too good to be true trades. And that is a red flag right off the bat, because it is a person trying to get rid of an item that is, you know for sure, worth way more than what they're asking. And this is generally a bad sign. There are ways that you can deal with some duplicate items, and one of the most commonly duplicated items is actually runes, high runes specifically. I don't have any high runes in my inventory right now because I've already used them all. But the Jaw rune, for instance, in my ice would be a prime candidate. Sir runes are also prime candidates. People will basically take the Sir runes and duplicate them, and then they will up-transmute them into Burr runes. Now, the interesting thing about up-transmuting runes is that it changes the unique item identifier and allows you to obtain another item. Creating rune words also creates a unique item identifier. So if you have traded for a high rune recently, a Burr rune, say, or a Sir rune, or a Jaw rune, or a Cham, or a Low, or a Zod, or any of those things, and you think that it might be duped, there is a way that you can avoid having that rune taken from you, and that is to make the rune word. So if you are trying to make a specific rune word, don't just let it sit in your inventory for a long period of time, because if it is a duplicate rune, it can go poof. However, if you use that rune to create a rune word with it, it will not poof. The process of creating a rune word actually creates a new unique item identifier. This allows the identifier to change and also prevent it from being detected by the system and deleted. I'm not saying this as a way to, teach people how to dupe items and avoid the system. What I'm saying this is like if you traded for a Burr rune, I don't want you to get screwed. I don't want you to be the one who ends up with the hot potato that goes poof. So make sure that if you do trade for a rune from a unverifiable target, like for instance not a friend, not a member of your clan, if they basically say that they didn't find it themselves, if they traded for it from someone else, then in that case you might want to hurry up and make your rune word as fast as possible. Now, if you found it yourself, or your friend found it themselves, or your clan found it themselves, then you know for a fact that it's not duped, and you don't really need to worry. Another thing that is interesting that I have actually verified myself in the past is that, like for instance with a Crown of Ages, one of the common things to do with Crowns of Ages is to put 2 Burr runes in it. If you put a Burr rune in an item that is not a rune word, not actually creating a new rune word, it can actually disappear, and I've had it happen before. So just socketing an item with a rune or a gem or a jewel of some kind, and if that item, that jewel or that rune ends up being duped, you will log in one day and just simply find the socket empty. I've had this happen a couple times before in the past, back in D2 LOD, because duping was very prevalent in D2 LOD back before 1.10. It started to get patched, and it was less and less toward 1.11, and eventually it got to the point where duping wasn't really a big deal, but it still happened occasionally, and you would still have items go poof. But 1.09 was really the wild, wild west days of items and duping and poofing and all that other crazy stuff. I mean, there were items left over from the pre-unique item identifier days that were duped, and there were also new items that were being duped that had the unique item identifiers, which were poofing. And so the old dupes were getting mixed in with the new dupes, and it was just an absolute nightmare. But the reason why I'm making this video is not to encourage you to dupe items or to, scare everyone silly. I just want you to know what to do to try and prevent anything like that happening from you. So if you've recently traded for a high rune, and, you are unsure whether that high rune is a duplicate or not, I would advise you to make the rune word that you're trying to make. Don't let that rune word sit around in your inventory for several days until the unique item identifier system finally catches up and deletes the item. It's basically like a scan wave. The system just scans for unique item identifiers, and any of the unique item identifiers that are duplicates, it deletes all of them. It does not just delete one, it deletes all of them. And this is important because it needs to do this to get rid of as many of the duplicates as possible. And I'm not exactly sure what their scan cycle is. I can't really answer that for you. I don't know if it's a day or 3 days. I do remember that my Arcane's Valor took 3 days to be deleted, but that was back in D2 LOD. I think it was 1.09 or 1.10. So, they may have upped the scan rate from that point. It may have changed several times from 1.09, for all I know. All you need to know is that protect yourself from bad trades for a little while until they patch the bug, which they will eventually patch the dupe exploit. Now, granted, there will always be more dupe exploits, but at least if you can avoid trades from people that you don't know for a little while until they are able to patch it, you can protect yourself from the dupes. Like I said, if you trade for runes, use them in rune words immediately so that they do not have a chance to disappear. I would not put any traded runes in pieces of equipment for now. Like if you trade for a burr rune and you want to put it in a Crown of Ages, I might avoid that for the time being because there's a very good chance you could end up with a duped burr rune. Especially if you're buying stuff from real money trade sites. Real money trade sites tend to actually utilize the dupe methods a lot. They will actually sell you duped runes and basically advise you to use them in rune words right away because, if you don't, they disappear. And they'll give you another one. They don't even care because, quite honestly, they're just duping them left and right. And they'll if yours disappears, they'll just give you another one. But, that's not really the point. The point is that, as they dupe these items, they're going to be poofing it more and more often. And we have had quite a large number of reports so far of duping. I've been taking a look on various websites and going over, the various people who've been talking about the dupes. And I want to say I've seen at least about 20 or 30 people talking about poofed items. One in particular was talking about an amulet that was a very sexy +2 sorceress amulet, and they probably should have known better that amulet was probably duped because it was just a little bit too good to be true. We're talking about like a +2 sorc with 20% FCR, all resistances like strength, health. It's just like the god tier amulet, and he got it for a relatively cheap price, which should have been a red flag right away because anything like that's +2 sorc, 20% FCR with freaking all res, is already going to be an extremely valuable item. And then throw in the other stats too, and you're talking about multiple burr runes. And I'm pretty sure he said he got it for like 2 or 3 burr runes, which was just insane. Which made me realize right away that there was something up. But it's interesting, though, that we've got some actual proof that the poofs are happening. This one in particular, I'm pretty sure was a duped Enigma, which is kind of weird because normally dupers aren't that stupid. I hate to say this, but they're not usually that stupid. They usually don't dupe enigmas. They usually dupe the runes for enigma, and then they make the enigma with it. But I guess in this particular case, the person duping it didn't have the runes to dupe, and instead duped the duped the actual armor itself, which is really sad. And a lot of these poofed enigmas were all plus 761 mage plates. So if you happen to have a plus 761 mage plate, you might want to take a look at it. If yours is plus 761, you may have a duped one, and it might disappear on you. In fact, if you're trading with somebody and they have a 761, you might want to avoid it. And that's generally what happens with dupes, is a lot of the times in the past, the duplicate items would become known. So people would look at the item, they would go, oh, well, that has the exact same amount of defense as the one that's being duped. That one is 1341 defense. So I think that one is probably the duplicate. And they would start avoiding those particular items. That's something that we may have to do in the future. We may have to start compiling a list of like duped values, and just start avoiding those particular items. And it seems a little weird that somebody would dupe the enigmas, but I mean, enigma is a hot item. And quite honestly, people are purchasing them straight from real money trade sites and JSP and other places, probably for an exorbitant amount of money at this point, because we're still only 10 days into the ladder. So it very well may be a way that they're utilizing the dupe method to con people out of their money. Anyway, all I wanted to do was give you guys a heads up that the duping is happening, give you guys a little bit of advice on how to avoid it and how to prevent yourself from getting ripped off. And Mr. NiNi, let's dupe you, shall we? We're going to dupe Mr. NiNi today. Boop. Oh no, there's two Mr. NiNis. Oh no. Wave goodbye, Mr. NiNis. You're not waving. Why are you not waving? Why can't you ever do anything cute on camera? Sir, Mr. NiNi, let's do a double helicopter. How about that? So don't test me what to do. Ciao.